Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this QuickBooks Time overview. My name is Danny Shank, and looking forward to having a conversation with you about really what QuickBooks Time is and how we're going to be able to benefit you, whether you're in construction, manufacturing, consultant, really just about anything. We should be able to be a good fit, and we'll be taking a look at that today. So, wanted to discuss a bit about our agenda. Starting out, we'll just talk what is time tracking and the current environment. Now, you might say, hey, I know what time tracking is, but I think you'll learn a little something. There's always more to time tracking than what people think. We'll then take a look at what is QuickBooks Time. So essentially, what is the QuickBooks Time product and how can it benefit you? Now, if QuickBooks Time doesn't ring a bell, T-Sheets might. So T-Sheets was an actual product built in 2006. It was independent. And then we were actually bought out by Intuit in 2018 and have become QuickBooks Time, which has allowed us to just really grow exponentially. And you'll see some new features around that. We'll then jump into how does QuickBooks Time benefit your industry. So that's going to take a look at, construction, manufacturing. What specific things do people get out of using our product? Sorry, didn't mean to jump ahead there. Then we'll take a look at a demo. So we will jump into an actual QuickBooks Time account and take a look at the product and understand how that's going to work. And then lastly, we'll go into pricing and next steps if you're interested in learning more or possibly starting a free trial. So again, starting out, what is time tracking? And so very basically, time tracking refers to how organizations track their working hours. So that already makes sense. Now, this does encompass payroll hours, attendance, time off, billable hours, scheduling, job costing. So it does take a lot more than just, hey, here's the hours that my employees have worked, let's pay them. It can also lead to how profitable is my job being on a labor standpoint. It can also lead to the hours that we can bill back to clients and actually make money. So there's a lot to time tracking, and that's why it's so important to have a good system in place. And companies track time in many different ways. So whether it's using the honor system, using spreadsheets, some people text in hours. I mean, there's many different ways that can be completed. And then there's manual punch cards too. So you might think of your old school punch style time card if you're a manufacturing industry. And the big thing is 66% of time tracking is completed by employees that get paid by the hour. And I find this fact interesting because a lot of times people think, okay, hey, if I'm tracking my time, it's because I'm an hourly employee. But it still does show that 33% of employees are tracking time, 34%, excuse me, are tracking time for maybe billable hours or to see if they're still working 40 hours a week or for whatever reason that might be. Jumping into what the current time tracking environment looks like, and I need to stop jumping forwards on my slides, I apologize. So 47% of businesses are using Excel spreadsheets or a manual method to track time. So essentially what that means is almost half of the industry is using an old school method, whether it's writing time on a piece of paper and then handing that to their project manager or using an Excel spreadsheet once a week or a shared drive. 47% of businesses are still using these manual methods. And we find that numbers even more if you're looking at construction. And 60% of employees in small businesses don't know how to track their time correctly. So maybe you need your employees to write down specific information about a job, or you want them to do actual times when they come in and then when they leave. There's a lot of employees that actually don't know how to track their time correctly. Also, 50% of employees admit to buddy punching. So what that means, maybe I'm working at a manufacturing on site. There's one location. I'm running a little late, so I call Bob and I say, "Hey, Bob, I'm not going to make it on time. Can you punch me in? I'll be there in about 20 minutes." And Bob might sneak it in. So 50% of employees have admitted doing that at least once. I'm sure many have done it more. And then there is an increased need in the current environment. I don't know about you guys. 2020, 2021 was a little different for me. I don't really know why, but I don't know. You can tell I'm working from home over here. So it's important for you to have flexibility like mobile time tracking applications to be able to clock in and clock out and not have that be a hindrance on people that are, back office work that are needing to enter these hours and run payroll. So with all this happening, with kind of these facts we just talked about, this is actually leading to $11 billion lost annually in purposeful or accidental time theft. So whether it's on purpose or not, if I'm an employee and it's 7:50 and I clock in, and then I go, I put my stuff away, I get a cup of coffee, then I come to work, that's time theft. Or if it's manual and I get to work at 7:50, I'm going to write 7:30, 7:45, just because I don't actually know the exact time I got here. I don't remember what time I got to work yesterday. And if you're not tracking it in real time or at least the same day, it really will have an impact. And because of this is 50 million hours per day are lost because of unrecorded work activities. So huge number there. And then wasted manual work for skilled admin staff. So if you're an admin or you're a business owner, you know that you're hiring this back office staff or accountants or financial people to do a lot of this skilled stuff, skilled tasks that you don't necessarily want to do. And when that happens, when they're using manual methods, on average, 21 hours a week are spent on back office tasks. So imagine you can even automate half of that and get that down to 10 and a half hours. They could be spending so much time on other things besides this manual work that can be automated. And there's inaccuracies in employee pay. So 70% of employees will actually look for another job if there's any mistakes in their paycheck. Makes sense. I mean, why are we at work? It's, first and foremost, usually to make money. And then, sometimes there's passions behind it. But many people will leave if you don't have an accurate solution in place. And that is where the beautiful solution of QuickBooks Time comes into play. So QuickBooks Time is a cloud-based mobile time tracking solution. Essentially what that means is I can be out in the field, I can be at home, I can be at a computer, whatever that is, I should be able to clock in and out from this solution without having to be at a central location. So there's a mobile app where I can clock in and clock out and track my time. We have a tablet that you can mount on a wall and enter a pin and clock in and out. That also has a facial picture, so it'll take a picture of their face and you'll know if it's the correct employee logging in or not, that facial recognition. And that's where buddy punching can be lowered as well. So think of QuickBooks Time as time tracking in your pocket, essentially, making it extremely easy for employees to use. And on average, there's a savings of 8% on payroll costs for the year. So if you're looking at your expenses every year, I'm sure you've seen usually the number one line item on there is labor. And the more you can decrease that, the better. I mean, think about it. If you have $100,000 in labor costs, which that itself is pretty low, 8% of that could be saved by automating it. And that's because 15 minutes per timesheet per day are falsified by an employee, whether it's on purpose or not, once again. And then no more manual entries. So these tasks that can take 2-3 hours trying to run payroll can be automated to 10 minutes. And we'll discuss what that looks like. But instead of, hey, I'm an employee, I'm going to give this to my boss. My boss is going to then give that to my accountant, who's going to then enter the hours and finally pay out the employees. It's I clock in and clock out from my phone. You're able to review those hours in real time and click I approve. Those hours are going to automatically flow over to your payroll solution, QuickBooks Online, for example. You go run payroll and you're done. This does also help with increasing billable hours. So anybody that does charge by the hour, usually there's about 11% increase if you're tracking your time in real time. And then true job costing as well. So you really have to have the labor piece to understand if you're being profitable on a job. That's what QuickBooks Time can help with, and we'll explain how. And employees are happier. So getting top talent can be very competitive. There's a lot of companies that are offering, more PTO or offering, or they might be offering something like 401k. Sorry for the pause there. So when you can keep your employees happy, they're going to stick around longer, and they're going to get paid for every minute worked when they're using QuickBooks Time, and they're going to have the flexibility of not having to come submit hours, just make things easier for them. So discussing a bit about construction in QuickBooks Time. So construction is huge with QuickBooks Time. this number might have changed a slight amount, but the last time I heard 60% of our clients are in the construction, project-based, service-based possibly too, if they're out in the field. But most of our clients actually are using the mobile app, and a lot of them are very construction focused. The mobile app is very flexible. So construction loves this because it allows employees to get away again from that traditional paper time card and filling out all the information. We do allow employees to clock into customers and jobs and projects. So instead of guessing or employee writing it down, they just say, okay, here's the job I'm at. Here's the type of work I'm doing. Maybe here's the materials I'm using, clock in. And then they're actually able to switch through jobs throughout the day too, which I'll show you. But instead of having to clock out and clock back into the next customer they're working on, there's a very easy way to switch. Now, we do also have GPS tracking and geofencing. So if you want to know where your employees are, if you're going to give them the flexibility of clocking in and out with the mobile application, and maybe you want some security measures, we will pull GPS points while they're on the clock. Now, we do also have something called geofencing. And our geofencing is pretty smart. Have you ever used geofencing in the past? Sometimes it can be a little iffy. But what our geofencing does is we say, you can put a bubble around an area. And if an employee enters that bubble, it'll say, hey, Bob, it looks like you just entered, I keep using Bob as an example, but hey, Bob, it looks like you just entered this location. Did you mean to clock in? And Bob at that point can say yes. It's going to clock him in for the time that he started working, as well as automatically fill out the customer form because Bob's at that customer and that's already labeled. So saves a little bit of time there. Where we're a little different is we don't stop employees from clocking in if they're not within that bubble, or we don't log them out automatically if they leave that bubble. We send them a notification as well as a manager, making sure everyone's aware that they left, maybe to go on a run to get materials, but that employee should still be getting paid. So that's kind of how it's a little bit different. Now, again, we can also automate job costing. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online for job costing, we do have direct integrations. Obviously, it's a QuickBooks product and can really help with your job costing piece as well. Now, we're also DCAA compliant. So any government contractors out there know that there are specific compliances you have to follow. We can help with that. And it does work with most platforms. So yes, we are QuickBooks products. So of course, the integration with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop are going to be the best. I mean, they're seamless. You don't even have to click a button half the time. But if there's different payroll platforms you're using or project management systems, we can most likely connect. Again, we started out as a standalone product. You can actually still use us standalone and then still implement us with other systems that you may be using. Now, manufacturing in QuickBooks Time. So manufacturing is also a great fit. We, for the longest time, didn't necessarily have a feature that said, hey, we're going to really help our manufacturing clients. And we listened and we developed the Kiosk feature. So again, the Kiosk is a tablet that you can mount on the wall. We don't provide the tablet, so you will want to buy an iPad or Android tablet. We work with either. You can spend $200 on an Android or $500 on an iPad. We wanted to give you the discretion, which is why we don't require it. But you download an app, an employee goes to it, and as you can see by this picture, they enter a PIN and click clock in. We do have the facial clock in and clock out, so we'll verify if it's the correct employee. And employees can sign off on hours. So say it's the end of a 2-week period, a button will pop up and say, hey, did you mean to sign out? And then as you're signing out, it'll say, hey, did you want to sign your hours? And that's them looking at every single hour for the week or 2-week period, clicking approve, and that's going to send over. Once it's approved or submitted, and a manager can view those hours and verify they look good. Now, we do have a scheduling tool as well. So the scheduling tool is going to allow you to say, hey, I need you working on this line, for example, from this time to this time. Employees can view that schedule. You can have it on a screen if you want, or an employee can download the app. Maybe you just allow the app to view the schedule, but not clock in and clock out. And employees can get notifications via email, via the app when there's something new scheduled for them. And then we've got some powerful reporting for you to really understand when employees were there, when they were tardy, what jobs and lines they're working on. So manufacturing is a very, very good fit as well. So with all that being said, I can talk all day, but let's actually take a look at the product and understand a little bit about how it's going to work. I am going to move my face to this. Yeah, we'll keep it like right here. Sorry, you got to keep seeing my face. Actually, let's corner it. So I am actually signed into a QuickBooks Time account right now. Obviously, again, this is from a computer, works on any web browser, but in the future, if you wanted to do this from a phone, if you wanted to do this from a tablet, you could. Now, I would recommend the first time you set up QuickBooks Time that you use a computer. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. So one thing I wanted to actually start off with is integrating with QuickBooks. So it's very simple. You'll when you first sign up, it'll ask actually what you want to integrate with, and you'll see a little QuickBooks button in the top right here. And then when you sign into your QuickBooks Online account or desktop, it's going to ask you, hey, what do you actually want to pull over from QuickBooks? So you can say, I want to pull over customers and sub-customers, service items, billable yes or no, maybe classes. So the beauty of QuickBooks Time is if you already have a QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop account set up with all of your customers and jobs and projects you're working on, you click one button, all that's going to pull over and you're done. And the additional beauty is you can access QuickBooks Time from your QuickBooks Online account. And on top of that, if you add a new customer into QuickBooks Online, it's going to automatically flow over into QuickBooks Time. Same for employees, same for your service items. That's all just going to pull over without you having to do anything. So you're not having to duplicate the work. You know, everything's going to sync properly as well. But I choose anything that I want to pull over. I can also say, you know, do we want to automatically import items or not? So you do have the flexibility. We can bring over vendors if you need vendors tracking time. And we do have a payroll item mapping tool. So that's going to essentially say, if you have multiple pay types, maybe someone gets paid differently if they're driving as compared to doing specific drywall. You can have them choose that, and you can say, all right, if this employee is doing this service item, it should be paid out at this rate. So very, very flexible. We're the only time tracking application that can do that with QuickBooks Online. And yeah, it's really cool. So once I choose all those, I click import. That's going to automatically pull over all of my, again, customers, jobs, employees, etc. So now when I look at my team, I should have a list of employees that have pulled over from QuickBooks Time. This is getting a little bit into setup, but if it's your first time usage, you can click invite up here and you can actually invite them to use the product. You can choose what roles they have, what they're able to do, which groups they're in. So if you have multiple managers, you can have a manager of specific groups and get really specific here. Same thing for customers. If I have a bunch of customers that pull over, I can choose which employees see which customers. If you want to get specific and not allow them to see every single customer, you can do so. Same for service. I mean, it's very, very flexible with what employees can see and do. So at this point, I'm going to actually load demo mode. So if you do end up going with a free QuickBooks Time trial, feel free. I mean, you can sign up online. We can send a follow-up link as well after this show. But you can turn on demo mode, and that's going to allow you to actually mess around with the product before you invite employees. It's going to put some people on the clock. It's going to generate some reports. It's going to let you actually kind of check out the account. So first things first, let's start from the top. So before employees can clock in and out, they need to know their schedule. There's any items you need to find are over here on the left-hand side. So if you need to see the schedule, if you need to see time tracking or hours that have been entered, you'll find all of it here on the left-hand side. But here's my schedule. It's pretty blank right now besides PTO. QuickBooks Time does help calculate PTO, and employees can suggest it off, and it will appear on this schedule here. But say I wanted to assign Bob to work on something. Look at that. Bob's coming back full circle. He's we're still using Bob. I can either click actions and add shift, or I can click on Bob's name directly here. And this is going to allow me to enter any information that's relevant. So for Bob, I don't necessarily need to give it a title, but I will color code it maybe based on the type of work, or the time of day. Let me actually switch this date to the 12th so that it can be in the future. From 8 to 12, I want Bob and maybe Darcy as well. and I want them both working on this project right here. Now I can put in a location, so if they're needing to drive somewhere on the app, it'll just pull open Google Maps or Apple Maps and tell them where to go. I can leave specific notes, and then anything else Bob needs to type into as well. So maybe this is equipment, or maybe this is service item, but I need him. We're not using a bazooka today, Bob, but we will be using a shovel. So hey, make sure you have a shovel. And then from there, I can either save a draft or publish. Now, if I save it as a draft, it still can be moved around, and it can be flexible before I actually show the employee what their shift is going to be. So maybe you're planning this on a Monday. You plan it all out before you actually show them it's available. On the left-hand side, I can see how many hours I've assigned to each employee. And then it'll be whited out like this if it's not visible yet. Once I publish the week, it's going to ask if I want to notify the employee that, hey, there's new shifts available. If I click send, it can either notify them via email, or I can have it send them a push notification where they can open up their phone and it tells them what they need to be working on. So great, this is now scheduled. I could actually also sort this by customer if I wanted, so I can see how many hours I have sorted or scheduled per different project or customer that I'm working on. And that's the schedule. There's definitely more to it. I mean, you can do like a daily view or a monthly view. You can print it out. You can make templates if this is going to be something that's like a summer schedule. You can also subscribe to it as an employee, so maybe it appears in your Google Calendar or Outlook calendar instead of inside of QuickBooks Time. You can change what views and what permissions people have, but that's the schedule in a nutshell. And then now that I'm scheduled, I can actually start clocking in and clocking out. So I'm going to show you this time clock right here. Now, keep in mind, the mobile application looks a little different, but I don't have a way of showing it. We can definitely send a follow-up with what the mobile app looks like, or quick Google search will show you what the mobile application looks like. Very similar to this, you just wouldn't see everything else on the screen. But hey, here's the different jobs that are assigned to me. All I have to do is choose what I'm going to start working on. I click clock in, and now my time starts tracking towards that. Any other items I need to choose? So again, here's my equipment. Now this, I mean, the mood's kind of silly. This is just something we added to the demo account, but I can say, I'm happy. I'm feeling good. Work type, maybe I'm working on the grass today. So I guess this is a landscaping company. And then I can leave any notes that I need to. So things went great. And these notes could be left later. They don't have to be right at clock in and clock out. Things went great, no complaints. Now that I'm on the clock, you can see that, hey, I've been working for 40 minutes. I just clocked in, so my day total is at 0. And then for the week, I've worked 8 hours and 27 minutes. So I'm going to easily understand how many hours I'm at. If I'm working towards 40 or if I'm keeping an eye on PTO, I can do that as well. Now, another cool thing is, say I've been working at this customer for a bit and I need to actually now move to a different customer. Maybe I'm a company that does work with multiple customers or projects throughout the day, or even just service items. Instead of having to clock out and clock back in, over here, I would highlight the next customer and I can click switch. Now, keep in mind on the mobile app down here next to clock out, there'd be a switch button where they can then choose what they want to switch. But I'm going to go ahead and click switch. What that's going to do is start my current time over. So now I've worked 3 minutes towards this new client, but for the day, I've worked a whole minute already. So it's going to separate it out when you're actually reviewing the hours. Again, I can leave any notes. You can have it where it defaults these. Maybe I'm mad now. I don't like working on XYZ Corp for whatever reason. And same thing, leave any notes, and those notes will be specific towards this time card. End of the day, I click clock out, and that's going to obviously take me off the clock. So very, very simple. Mobile app, again, is even easier, and I think you guys will really appreciate using that. And again, as an employee, I use this every day. And yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. It's so much better than when I used to work at a company where I had to manually enter my hours at the end of the week. And I'm sure I'm getting paid for all my hours I work too. So let me see. So I did want to try to show this kiosk mode, but since I'm on a computer, it could be finicky. So I'm going to see if I can show the kiosk mode This is the one that's super helpful for if you're doing maybe like a single location, a doctor's office, manufacturing. This is the one that kind of replaces your old school manual time card. So I'm going to go ahead and try to add a device. So normally if you're adding a tablet, you'd say other device and enter a code. Since I'm on this computer, I'm just going to say use this computer. I can give it a name. Require photo. So that's where we can make sure it's the correct employee. We can have it record location if you do have multiple. Let's just go ahead and save and launch and see if this works. Good. All right. So, only problem is I don't know the pins for these employees. So we'll see if I'm able to log in. But right away, I can see green dots next to these names. So I actually know these people are on the clock. So if I clocked in earlier and I wasn't sure if it went through, obviously I can tell right away that it did. I'm going to go ahead and try to sign in as Mary. See if we can. Okay, cool. So this is her first time. So it'll actually have her enter a PIN for the first time when she's signing in. Now that I've done that, I'll go back to Mary and enter my PIN. Now, normally, login not allowed for this account. Darn, gotta love live demos. Let me try one more. If this doesn't work, again, we can send a video, but hopefully it gives you a general idea. I would enter a PIN, it would have me sign in, and then it signs me out automatically so the next person can use it. And the beauty of this as well, again, is that facial recognition. So I'd be able to actually show, darn it, I'd be able to actually show that it's the correct employee and not somebody else. So really cool. I think you'll really appreciate this mode if you're in a manufacturing situation. Again, works with any tablet. And same thing, you would be able to clock in, signs me out, next employee can use it. They would then also be able to sign in. And then from there, they can clock out at the end of the day. And I do want to show you, so once employees are on the clock, and this is going to be especially helpful for the mobile application. So if I'm clocking in and out, and I want to see where my employees are, I can click on this map icon. Oh, do we not have any employees on the clock? Oh, let me switch back into the demo mode. So if you do leave the page, it takes you back to your normal QuickBooks Time account. Now I'm back in the demo mode. And if I click on map, it's going to show me where all of my employees are currently at. So I can see Johnny's over here, Darcy's over here. I can actually zoom in and get very specific. I could even click on their name if I wanted and see the last time it pulled a GPS point, how accurate it was. And then here's where it's especially cool. If I want to see where Bob has been going throughout the day, I could highlight his name over here and then click on this path map. And this is going to show me where Bob clocked in, and then as he's moving throughout the day. And I can click on any of these points and understand what time that was pulled. Bob is currently here because it hasn't pulled a GPS point in the last 30 minutes. And then from there, I can actually, I can keep him going. I can clock him out if he forgot to clock out for whatever reason. So not only can you use this window to see where employees are for whatever reason, maybe it's for safety, maybe it's just to verify their remote and where they're supposed to be. But I can also click on this edit icon and I could help. Maybe he chose the wrong equipment, or maybe I want to leave my own note that he can view later on, or maybe I want to take him off the clock. So there's a lot of flexibility you can do from just this little window. This window is called the Who's Working window. If you don't see it open, it's over here on the left-hand side, but it's probably one of my favorite windows because it shows you who's on the clock, how long they've been on the clock, the current job they're working on, how long they've been working on that specific job, and again, those GPS points. So one of my favorite windows, super flexible. Now, I did also want to show something called the manual time card. I think this is important too, because you may still have employees that need to enter hours after the fact. And so you can choose who has this permission, but this is what the manual time card looks like. So this will be very similar to an Excel spreadsheet. Over here on the left-hand side, I can choose one of the customers that are assigned to me. I can say, hey, I'm working 3 hours on this project. Here's the equipment, here's any notes, and I can click save. Now that that's logged, I can enter any other hours. And if you see this little red dash up here, that just means there's a note. So if I wanted to verify what that note was as like an admin, I can quickly see. And so if I were to leave a note here, obviously it's going to be different from here. Same for these fields. Again, you can choose who has this permission. It's not a, hey, either everyone has it or nobody has it. You can be pretty flexible with it. From there, you can also, actually, we'll come back to this time entries. So there's an area called timesheets. This is also a good way to understand all of the employees, every single clock in and clock out for the day. So, hey, here's all my employees that have clocked in for the day. Did they do a manual time card or did they do clock in and clock out? Again, I can see location from here. So I could actually pull that specific location for this time card. You can see their customer. You can actually customize too which columns show. So you can be pretty flexible. If I wanted to see what mood my employees are in, I could put that on here. You'll see this faces. That's actually for anybody that's using the time clock kiosk if you wanted to verify that. And then of course I can leave any notes that might be important as well, or see any notes that were left. Now this also does come with an audit log. So you can actually click view log and this will show you everything that's happened with this time card. So this can be important for DCAA compliance, or if there's ever an audit or a labor dispute with your company. This is going to show every single thing that happened with every time card to help protect yourself or protect the employee in the background. Before we get into some of the reporting that we have, I did want to show this projects piece. So a lot of times people are needing to actually budget out hours and make sure that they're not going over a certain amount of hours on a project. So what I can do is I can click on add project. Here, I'm just going to move my face out of the way here. But I'm going to click on add project and I can choose what project this is. So again, these projects will pull over from QuickBooks, but I can go ahead and just choose one as well if I need to. Landscaping. I can choose when this starts. So maybe we started this in July and I'm hoping this ends by the end of September. I can leave a description, address, GPS points, and I can click continue. Now you can either estimate this by total number of hours. Hey, I think this project is going to take us 400 hours, and you can see as that's being tracked. Or you have the option of doing this by task. And what's nice about by task is you can say, and these tasks can be, honestly, I don't like how this is broken out, because if this were a normal account, this would have, I can choose the service item, what the task is. So maybe my service item is lawn. And then from here, I can say, I expect lawn to take me 50 hours specifically. And I can break that down by every single task or service that I have, anywhere from maybe you're building a house and you start from beginning construction to drywall, all the way to cleanup. And you can have all those tasks and how long you expect them to take you. And then you can add an estimate. So in real time, you can see how many hours are worked towards what are estimated. You can see your date progress, how far along we are with that date. You can see posts, so employees can leave posts about what's going on, as well as activities, so you can understand any activity, what hours are being worked, etc. So it's a project management tool around hours specifically. We can see there's one called IB Lead. This one is created a long time ago, but it's cool because it shows you who's on the clock and also any things that might be on red towards it. So I can click on it. This was total hours of 120. We worked 894. We're a little over. We're also past our date frame, but you can expand it out and understand which employees worked which hours, and you can actually do that on the map as well. You could sort this by users if you just wanted to see total hours quickly. I can also go to posts and see any notes or pictures that have been added to this again, and then here's all the activity towards this project. So it's super flexible. Anybody in construction or project-based companies can really benefit from this. So from there, as all this time's coming in, before it's going to flow back over to QuickBooks Online or whatever platform you're using, the time does need to be approved. So hours can be submitted by employees. They'll get a notification at the end of every week or every day if you want, saying, hey, please verify these hours, make sure they look good. Once they do, they click yes, and they're done. And so once all hours have been submitted by an employee, you could say, great, I want to see every single hour that's been submitted. So here's Bob. I don't know why I keep going. This is hilarious. So Bob has worked 724 to 86. He worked 102 hours. What's nice is you can see a quick breakdown. Bob had worked 80 hours regular, 22 hours of overtime, no time off, no break time. But if I wanted to see how Bob actually worked these 102 hours before I approved them for payroll, I can click on view details. I'm going to get a quick breakdown of each and every clock in, clock out. So, hey, 40% of his hours went towards this, 23% went towards this, 31%, and then 6%. From here, I'm actually able to scroll down and I can actually either delete a time card, I can edit a time card, or I can view the GPS points that are specific to that specific time card. So maybe I wanted to view those GPS points. I click on that and that's going to pop open this box for me. But overall, I'm liking how Bob's time card looks here. I'm able to click approve. Once I click approve, and I can do this for all employees or just Bob, these hours could automatically flow over to QuickBooks. And on my demo account, I don't have the QuickBooks button, but there's also an option that says export all hours to QuickBooks Time, and then they'd be sitting on that side. And they're kind of sitting in a pending stage in the time card on the QuickBooks Online side, so you could still make edits to it, still make changes before you run payroll or do your invoicing. And actually, I might be able to show, cool, I do have this pulled up. So I wanted to show what it would look like to create an invoice with this time. Same thing, if you were to go run payroll, you would click this payroll button and all of your hours would automatically be over here, but I don't have that set up. But if I wanted to run an invoice, I could click on this invoice button. I can go ahead and choose Gina's Golden Goods. And then here's all of the hours that have been worked towards Gina's Golden Goods. And you'll see they're actually broken down by the different service items: restoration, cleanup, office. And they already have a rate tied to them because I already had these rates on the QuickBooks Online side. So I could add all of these to the invoice. And again, I can still make edits and make changes if I want the description to say something else. And then from here, or I could change the amount. But then I can click save and send and your invoicing is done. So it can really automate that piece quite a bit as well. Now, there are a lot of other reports inside of QuickBooks Time. So there's a payroll report, similar to what we just looked at with the approvals, but it'll break it down on a little bit of a higher level, as well as you can send these to a PDF, Excel spreadsheet, CSV, if you needed them for offline or for another payroll platform. Now, we also have something called itemized total time. So I can actually say from June until today, I want to look at all hours that have been worked. So, hey, we've worked 1,300 hours. We can see most of our time went towards these inside projects. 33% went towards these outside projects. Cool thing is these are drillable, so I can click on customers. And now I can drill down even more. Okay, on the inside projects, how are these broken down? And the rest of these will change with it. So it'll show, hey, which team member spent the most time? What equipment were we using? Were our employees happy or mad? And then, of course, work type as well. From here, I can clear the filters if I need to. And then there is actually another thing from here, which is called job costing by team members. Also, this can be printed or CSV. But if I click on job costing by team members, I would recommend clicking group by job code and calculate grand totals. When you run this report, you're going to actually see, here's my project, here's the employee and the regular rate that that employee makes, here's the hours that they worked. So here's an estimated job hour cost towards this project. Also, you can scroll over, see your overtime costs, and get an overall total estimated cost for each project that you're working on. So it's very flexible, allowing you to really understand what's happening inside your business and are we being profitable. There's a lot of other reports. There's things around scheduling, tardy, scheduled versus worked. There's logging and auditing if you need that, time off balances. I would mess around with these reports. If you do get a free trial, go into the demo mode and just check out some of the reports. You'll be pretty impressed at what you can do. And there's a lot of free add-ons you can install as well. So say I wanted to do lunch breaks automatically or have my employees choose those, you can turn that on. Say I wanted to do the time kiosk, I can install that as an add-on. We also have time card rounder. So say I want all of my clock in and clock outs to round to the nearest 5, 10, 15 minutes. I can do that as well. So Same thing, I would mess around with a lot of these different add-ons and see how they might benefit you. But that's a little bit of a QuickBooks Time demo. It can go deeper than even where we went today, and it can be very flexible as a standalone product, or even more powerful if you integrate it with QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online. From here, I wanted to go into pricing. So there are actually two options for pricing. As a QuickBooks Time standalone product, there's premium. Our premium product is going to be just about everything we looked at today. And that's a $20 base fee and $8 per employee. That includes mobile app, it includes GPS points, it includes the kiosk mode, reporting, integrations. Now the Elite does come with a mileage tracker. It also comes with signatures. So if an employee is at a job site and needs those hours signed off by like a job site manager or even the client, they can do that. Elite also comes with the geofencing. So Premium still has the GPS points, but Elite's going to have that piece where it's, hey, you left this job site, did you mean to clock out? And that one's a $40 base and $10 per employee. Now we do have payroll bundles as well. So if we're bundled with QuickBooks Online Premium Payroll, that's a full service platform where they automatically take care of your taxes and forms. They're also going to have like an HR area that you can go into. It's a full service payroll, a very in-depth payroll that can help save a lot of time. And it comes with QuickBooks Time included. So no cost for the QuickBooks Time. The base fee is $75 and it's $8 per employee. So if you're in need of a payroll platform, that's definitely the way to go if you're very interested in QuickBooks Time. Same for the Elite, $125 plus $10 per employee. You get everything you get in Elite QuickBooks Time. We also set up the payroll for you. You get an actual HR person that you can talk to at any point. And even more, I would check both of those out if you're interested. There's also a Diamond SKU. I apologize, I actually mistyped here. It's $5 per employee if you end up going with QuickBooks Desktop Diamond. So once you're ready, if you're interested and you're like, okay, great, I want to do this, you start a 30-day trial. You can find the link on our QuickBooks website, or we can send this as a follow-up. You can set up the account. So we have an in-product onboarding or our onboarding team. So you can follow the steps, or we can get you a free onboarding with our setup team. And then you can connect with QuickBooks. As I said, if you have QuickBooks, that's going to be the quickest way to set up a QuickBooks Time account. You can be up and running in 20 minutes if you have a QuickBooks account. From there, you can introduce employees. You can invite them via email or via text. They're going to download the application and set up an account and actually be able to start using the application from there. And once everyone's up and running and liking it, and you know, we have help guides, videos. I also recommend that you have some of your very tech savvy employees try it so that they can help teach other employees. And then from there, if you're happy, you activate the account and you get going. You start saving money and time on payroll. I did want to answer just some frequently asked questions that seem to come up. So which version of QuickBooks does QuickBooks Time integrate with? Really all of them. The most simple one we do not, but every other version we do integrate with. It has to have that time area instead of QuickBooks Online. And desktop, we can integrate with it as long as it's, I believe, 2016 or newer when it comes to QuickBooks Desktop. And does QuickBooks Time have to be integrated? We already discussed that. It really doesn't have to, but it can make your life a lot easier. What impact does QuickBooks Time have on data and battery life? Common question, you know, I'd say the number one thing when trying to introduce it to employees is, oh, it's draining my battery. Oh, it's going to be using a lot of data. It really doesn't. It's very, very minimal. We don't constantly run GPS points. We only check every 5 to 10 minutes. And same for, I mean, data is usually unlimited these days, but again, it's very minimal. I think for me, it was 10 megabytes since like 3 or 4 months ago. And battery life, I don't even notice. Can QuickBooks Time help with certified payroll? Very common question as well, and absolutely. We can help with running certified payroll. We have the correct reporting. And then if you're using QuickBooks Online Payroll, we have a partnership there. Same for desktop. Can employee hours be approved by multiple people? This is kind of a tough one because yes, you can have multiple managers that can approve hours, but once they're approved, they're ready to go. So if you're looking for a 2-tier system, what I usually say is have that group manager approve their 5 employees. then have the final person come in and view all the approved hours. They can unapprove, make any edits, and add notes as needed, and then reapprove. And then how do I get employees to use the application? And it might sound silly, but it's very common. I think we're all a little resistant to change, and using an application on my personal device can be different. And so motivating in ways where, hey, you are going to get paid for every hour worked. This is going to be a lot easier than your current solution. If there's still some pushback, in the end, if employees want to get paid, they have to use this. I mean, it can be as simple as that if you have to put on the hard hat. But I've also seen people motivate, hey, if you end up using this app successfully for the first 3 months, I'll give you a little bonus, maybe $20 extra, buy you a cup of coffee, something like that. So thank you for your time. My name is Danny. Once again, here's my email address if you have any additional questions. And again, I mean, we can send a follow-up link if you're interested, but if you're using a manual method, I really think QuickBooks Time will be a good solution.